I think it is also rather apparent that you could have possible metaphysics within a phenomenology also. I have various videos on phenomenology, and I don't really want to explain what that is per se in this video. And if you want to learn that, then you can go to Chad African's videos or a couple of Professor Anton's videos, or I have a phenomenology playlist that currently has 75 videos in it. You can easily learn about it. Other resources for that would be, various books about it by Dermot Morin, Rudolph Bernay, so Kern, and one other person, Lester Embry, Robert Sokolowski, David Carr, various people who can really help you understand what that is. Anyway, phenomenology being when we're going to return to a previous video I did was called Phenomenology and Epistemology. I do give a better explanation of what phenomenology is. But here all I'm going to say is that we're not going to go into inquiries of realism or idealism, or which inquires about whether certain things we see are mind-dependent or independent. What we're going to do is we're just going to look at the phenomena, to the things themselves in the Husserlian sense, not the Kantian sense. So what I want to think about here is, does a theory of phenomenology include a kind of metaphysics? And by metaphysics, we could also mean ontology. Metaphysics, I would say, is things about the world. That thing that has ideas about the world in it. That's basically what it is. But ontology, on the other hand, I think is about being. I would think about ontology with respect to being. Ontology is more of a, it's not as, thick with controversies as metaphysics might be. I would say it's probably less filled with controversies than it used to be, metaphysics. But ontology, like when I'm thinking about like a phenomenological ontology, I'm thinking about Jean-Paul Sartre, I'm thinking about Martin Heidegger. Heidegger was influenced by Husserl's phenomenology, and he had a ontology. He discussed in Being in Time an ontology, which, if I can get this book out. This book. And I'm currently doing like a series of videos on it. But, and I plan on doing chapter 5 of the first part, or the first division, quite soon. Anyway, in this book, what goes on is he talks about what existence means and what being means, and he says that being is Dasein, or being there, and we all are that, or Dasein is in each case mind. So that is not blatantly about consciousness, but it's about consciousness. But it's about being, about ourselves, who we are, what our characteristics of being are, So that is phenomenology, but it's also a ontology. Being and Nothingness, which I have on the bookshelf over there, is similar. It's definitely a lot more of the term existentialist. Heidegger was one, but he didn't want to call himself one. I would consider him more of an ontologist. But if you read his essay, Was ist Metaphysik, he comes out as a true existentialist. More than in Sein and Zeit. Oh yeah, I got it. Trying to get the suds out of the bottom, or the sediment. I would say that with respect to a metaphysics, a metaphysics is not going to be so much necessary. There are phenomenological philosophers who do employ into their philosophy of phenomenology and metaphysics, which talks about entities, about the world. All metaphysics isn't contrary to phenomenology, but it's still kind of a difficult thing. I would say that it's not the best thing to do because we don't need to really do a lot of that anymore. What you find in this book, Metaphysics by Michael J. Lou, let's just kind of look at the contents. I'm currently reading in this book the part about modality, problem of universals, particulars, propositions, modality, causation, time, particulars, and anti-realism. Causation might be one of the things that could be a part of phenomenology. Modality, nah. But then all this about universals, particulars, universals, particulars, properties, propositions, and such, I would say would not work. But ontology, on the other hand, which returns to, it's about being, and that returns to who we are. And because phenomenology is about what presents itself to us, then phenomenology is about, in some certain places, ontology as well. Husserl, is not so much about being, in his experience and judgment, he does talk about being a little bit. He does refer to being there, being with and such, but that's very, very minimal. And his stuff like the ego, it's not existentialized. It's not like that. So I guess I'm curious about can metaphysics be possibly related to any kind of phenomenology? I would say not so much, but ontology definitely has a place because of the phenomena, which is what phenomenology is about, returns back to us because it gives itself to us. And I have a couple of videos in the past where I talk about phenomenology and how it could be possibly realism, possibly idealism. Yeah, it could. It's kind of like stuck right in the middle, and you can't really understand it as just idealism or just realism. It's, flavorful, or it's, similar to both in a very different way. So yeah, I would say it's more about ontology, and once we make the phenomenological reductions, with the Husserl eidetic reduction, it becomes about essences, essentialism, which is a part of metaphysics. But I would say I don't really agree with the essentialism of Husserl. His later stuff kind of doesn't really do that so much. Anyway, thanks. I'm just kind of curious about this stuff and thinking about how all this stuff is related. It's just kind of neat, If you have any questions, I get it faster if you find me on Twitter, which I will put down there. I plan on in the future to be making videos about Henri Bergson, Maurice Merleau-Ponty. Let's see what else. I'm going to continue on Plato and his Republic. And I'll probably be doing some stuff about moral conservatism and utilitarianism. Yeah. And soon also to do the 5th chapter of the first division of Heidegger's Sein und Zeit, or Being in Time.